So the first question is very much about how you got into the industry. So I know that you have an extensive background in the transportation industry, and I think from CSX Corporation to the transportation space with the Department of Transportation, and now TIA. So what attracted you to the industry?
Okay, so I am a lawyer by training, and I was working at a law firm, and look, lawyers do very valuable things. They provide an essential service. My father's a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, my best friends are lawyers, but I felt like I was doing the job of a trained monkey. I really felt like I wasn't digging into the subject matter. And what had attracted me to the legal profession and to law school was the role of advocacy. And I felt like I wasn't really doing advocacy so much as I was pushing paper. And so I thought, all right, if I've identified what it is about the law that I like, which is advocacy, what are other ways that I can do it? And so I started looking around for other opportunities. And this is such a random story, but there was a letter to the editor in the Washington Post from someone who became my boss, who said, you know, high-speed trains are used all over Europe. We should think about using them in the United States. It would take cars off the road, et cetera. And I thought, that makes sense. I agree with that. And so I called him up. I cold called him and I said, hey, I'd love to learn more about your issues. And having that law degree and appearing like a normal person, which I am, he was very engaged. He said, hey, it's just me. I could use the help. And so I started going to more events and trying to help out. And then he hired me. So I worked at this association, High Speed Ground Transportation Association, just for 3 years. And it was fairly small. And so I wanted to keep growing my role, but I was doing advocacy and legal work. So from there, I thought, all right, if I like the advocacy part and I like this transportation space, where can I go from here? And so I got a job at the Association of American Railroads, so a slightly bigger organization doing transportation. From there, CSX recruited me. And I was there for 16 years and I did mainly advocacy, but learned so much about the business, started learning about logistics through our intermodal team. And after 16 years, we had a management change. I decided to leave. Once the Department of Transportation found out that I was leaving, they asked if I would like to work for them. And I am not a government gal. Again, government people are very important. They're essential workers. But I just did not feel like that was something that I wanted to do. But I thought, what a tremendous experience to work right where policy is made. So I worked there for 1.5 years. I got a lot of exposure to modes that I hadn't been exposed to because obviously I've been really intensively in the railroad space. So I got more exposure to the Federal Highway Department and to the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, along with, you know, the transit organizations, et cetera. But we all know that elections happen and they can have consequences. So before the election, I thought, all right, what is my next step? I don't want to do this forever. I think it was a good experience. I'm glad they gave that opportunity to me, but it's not something I want to do forever. What can I do? So I felt like I wanted to be where there was a group of people who were not policy driven necessarily, but business driven. They wanted to provide customer solutions. They wanted to help the transportation sector be safe and grow and be accountable. And honestly, the TIA, this opportunity, when I read the job description, I thought, that's what I've been looking for. I couldn't articulate it until I saw the description and started meeting with the various board members, et cetera. I thought, this is what I wanted to do. I want to lead a group of people who are just literally trying to do good by the customers and try to provide efficiencies in the supply chain. And so that's how I got there. That's my long-winded story. But I love it. And I appreciate the fact that the membership is so entrepreneurial. And there are folks here who literally started their businesses from nothing and have become, you know, multi-million-dollar businesses. It's such an accomplishment. And to be surrounded by all those people, to me, it's just, I have so much to learn.
Thank you.
So was there one kind of a pivotal point that made you really commit to the transportation industry or the logistics space?
I think it was, I guess I started really, maybe if it was not believing in my own advocacy, but believing in the people who provide the transportation. So, it's CSX and the railroads and with the logistics industry too, and trucking, this is a 24/7 operation, and it's an outdoor sport, meaning that all kinds of things can go wrong and all bumps in the night, it's weather dependent, etc. And to know that I was working and advocating for people who would do whatever it took to get that shipment to their customer, or to clean up a derailment, or to provide a service, that to me, it's like you need to have meaning in your advocacy. It's not just like being a gun for hire. It's like, these are the people I'm trying to help. So I don't know if it was a pivotal point, but it may have been that, meeting some of the people on the ground and recognizing their work ethic, it struck me as, I've got to work as hard as I can for these people.
Got it. And so where do you see the role in women in all of this? Because I think, our industry, we have to kind of entice more women, entice more diversity. Where do you see our role in the leadership?
Sure. So first of all, I think we have some tremendously powerful women in the logistics space, and I'm honored that some of them are on our board, and I'm honored that many of them are members. Mm-hmm. And that to me shows that they see the value in TIA, and whatever we can do to be helpful to them and their businesses, we want to do. I was talking with Corey Eckley for just a couple of things that we were working on, and she had mentioned that when she started out, it was a family business, and she was put in a very senior role, and she looked to the TIA to help her build her business because she sort of didn't know what she didn't know. And so we were proud that TIA could play that role. I do think, and this is a gender biased comment, I do think that women sometimes can be accused of not being as entrepreneurial and not flying as high perhaps as men. And to me, what we can do at TIA to validate that, and as women leaders, is to say, look at the successes that we've had of women who started their own businesses or made their family businesses even more successful. Because once you see these role models, and once you understand how hard they work to get where they are, and that they were able to accomplishment, it seems a little less scary in a sense. I was talking to somebody who was a woman who worked with me at DOT, and she was looking to take on a leadership role at an association. And I said, it's sort of like the go for gold philosophy about parking. I do feel like a lot of men, when they want to park someplace, they're like, I'm going to go to the front door and I'm going to see if there's a space. I do feel like there's a tendency for women to say, oh, I can park 4 blocks back. That's fine. That's sufficient for me. And I feel like there should be less of that women should go for the gold, in a sense that there really should be nothing that's holding you back. You should not inhibit your own success in life. You gotta try, and even if you fail, that's okay. It's not personal. Failure sometimes is not personal. So it's almost a tough lesson to learn, but having as many successful women as we do have, I think that's helpful. And, yesterday, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce just announced Suzanne Clark, the first female leader of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in its 100-year history. These kinds of appointments are being made more and more. So, in a sense, we are in a very privileged time to make the case that women can accomplish these things.
How can we, I guess bonus question, because we are all working from home, and obviously it's difficult, very challenging for a lot of women to balance work life, especially, spatial wise as well. So how can businesses make this a little bit more palatable experience for them?
Yes, so I don't have the the answer to that. I would be delighted to hear it. No, I agree with you. I guess the sort of silver lining with this pandemic, there's a heck of a lot of gray clouds because of the pandemic. The silver lining of this pandemic is that employers have recognized that employees can be flexible and can do productive work at home. Now, having children at home doing Zoom school, that makes,
Yes,
that makes any productive day less productive. So I have the great fortune of both my children are actually in school. So there are quiet times. I do think it's extremely challenging to be a productive member of society as an adult and a employed person when you have Zoom school. I'm praying to every God there is to get the kids back in school, because I think that will help. But the fact is, now I think it used to be when I had my first baby, so 11 years ago, almost 12, and CSX was very understanding. It's not that they weren't, but it was sort of like, well, we expect you to be back within 8 weeks. You have your 8-week time, and we'll expect you to check in, and so on and so forth. And I do think now, and like when we say be back in, we mean from 8 to 6, right?
Yeah.
I do think that philosophy of cheeks and seats is changing somewhat, and that inures to women's benefit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure. It was nice to see you face to face, even though it's just Zoom. Right. But I appreciate your time and you're just sharing your background and sharing the information with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.